My name is William Smith, and this is my testimony. I've been a believer since the third week of January of 2022. Me and my wife were seeking refuge during a very important time of our life, and we found our home very close to where we were staying at the time. And since then, we haven't looked back, and we've continued to move forward. And as we will continue to pursue the path that God has set for us. I know I needed deliverance when a member of the Children's Bread Ministry reached out to me. He told me about his story, his path, what led him to Christ, and that really resonated with me with his first testimony that me and my wife heard. We began talking. I started to become more vulnerable next to him, and he eventually reached out to see if I would like to partake in a deliverance before my time in Santa Rosa was almost up, and I felt led to that's where I needed to seek help. And since I did, I feel as if we were supposed to meet for a reason, that I was supposed to go through this entire process for a reason, and that's the reason why I sought out deliverance. After and during going through the deliverance, the biggest one that I learned that I was being demonized through was the spirit of Leviathan. I never heard the terminology before, and during and even after the deliverance, that's the only word that I could hear. Feeling that constriction, that constraint on me. With knowing the spirit of Leviathan afterwards, I've also been partaking since at an early age was pornographic material, such as and adultery as well during my marriage. I feel as if my life has changed after deliverance to bring me closer to not only God, but bring me closer to my spouse, my friends, my family, especially my children as well. Hopefully feeling that I can be a father that they can actually look up to and not question what my morals are. I feel as if the path has been illuminated even more so for me. I feel as if my mind has slowly been able to lift itself up and clear all the negative images and ideas that's been in my mind. And I feel like I have a very set goal in mind that I want to continue to pursue. The fruit that I've seen after my deliverance is an increase of spiritual closeness, not only with myself and Christ, but with myself and my wife with Christ itself, or all together. I feel as if I've grown more mature, as well as becoming more vulnerable to those that I normally wouldn't be vulnerable to, being able to open and kind of explain a little bit more about myself, to seek help and see what else I need to work on in my life. Where do I feel I'm being called to for the Lord's kingdom? I feel as if I'm being called to help more, meaning I'd like to believe that I have certain skills that I can be able to help others in, whether that be my time, my tools that I have, my knowledge that I have, my short little knowledge. I feel as if I'm being used to help those that seek help, as well as being a lending ear. During my career and during my personal side, I always like to be sought out to be that individual where someone else is seeking guidance. That was before I met Christ. Now that I've met Christ and I know the path that I'm on, I know not only want to help lead someone in the right direction as a husband and as a man, but lead them as a husband and a man of Christ as well. As I said, there was a lot of negative aspects that happened in my life growing up. I found porn at a very early age, roughly about the age of 11 or 12 years old. I let that consume my life, as well as playing with Ouija boards and lies, cheating on homework, everything that could be developed into something worse. Later on, I found myself very actively cheating on my ex-wife an abundant amount of times. During that time, I was lying, I was cheating, I started using drugs to cope with what I was doing, and eventually that ruined my first marriage. I eventually lost my kids, and I found myself alone. I then found my current wife, and even then I still continue to do the same things that I've done, which led to me almost losing my career, which led to me almost losing my wife, which led to me having a gun up to my head, as well as my wife having a gun up to her head at the same time. There was a lot of things that happened that very particular night on the first week of January, and we found ourselves in hospital beds, constrained for 72 hours. It wasn't a good path for any of us. We reached out to one of our old mentors and tried to see what we need to work on in our life, and specifically what I need to work on, what my wife needs help on. He encouraged us to look out for a church. We had no idea where to look or what to do, and he eventually showed us a Google Map picture of a church right next to our house, and which at the time, we went to the gym pretty much right next door for a year or so. Never thought as a church. I always thought that as a children's ministry or a college. Me and my wife didn't really know at the time. So we attended that third week. I believe it was the 23rd of January that we attended, and everything that Pastor Andre was saying at that time was just hitting me right in my heart and hitting my wife. And during our time that we both attended, I've learned more than I could ever possibly imagine. Since I've been attending, I feel myself as I'm being drawn to do more than I've ever done before. This has been the hardest work I've ever put into my marriage, the hardest work I've ever put into myself, my personal goals, my admirations, and actually putting work into my spirit as well. You could have asked me 3 years ago if I'd changed my life for Christ, and I wouldn't have. I would have said no. But I felt led to continue to pursue, continue to read, continue to deep dive, continue to work on myself, work on my marriage, and it's been nothing but a blessing to be given the life that I've had after everything has been out in the open for me and my wife to know. This isn't a thing to make amends for what I've done in the past. It's everything and then some what I want to continue to do for myself, because no one's going to help me pursue this path other than myself right now. And I feel as if I have a lot more to give. The only thing I want to do is I'm not giving up on this path that I'm on. This is everything that I have my mind set to. This is everything that I have my attention. This is everything that I want. The biggest question that I get asked is, are you doing this to go back to what you were doing? I don't know what I was doing, because I wasn't. My eyes were closed, my ears were closed, my mind was shut, my soul was crushed. And I've never felt anything that I do feel day to day now that I've ever felt before in my life, except for having a burning fire to continue to pursue Christ. It's everything that I have now, and I'm invested.
And just the last question, would you reach out to others so they could reach out to the Children's Bread Ministry?
I would love to reach out to others so they can reach out to the Children's Bread Ministry. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for this ministry and the members that are a part of it.
Okay.